Thank you everyone for coming to the Claus Mass meeting. We're super excited to have you here and potentially join our team. So before we begin, here's a link to access these slides in the future in case you haven't gotten it yet. There are a lot of important links in these mass meeting slides, so you'll want to get this. Yeah. Okay, so before we begin, I thought it would be a good idea to meet our current Claus members. So as you can tell, there are only 6 of us, and that's because a lot of our members from last year graduated. But we've traditionally been a pretty small team. This year we're looking to expand, so yeah. So I'll just start by introducing myself. I'm Patrick. I'm the project manager for Claus. Last year I was the AR lead, so I was involved in the AR development. I'm a computer science student and I'm a sophomore. So yeah.
Hello everyone, my name is McKinley. I am the UX lead this year. I joined Claus last year and I was the UX research lead, and I'm a senior in the BSI.
All right, hello, my name is Hui and I'm an AR team member. I study computer science and cognitive science, and I'm a senior.
Hi everyone, my name is Zojun and I am the UX designer on the team, and I joined Claus last year, and I'm a second year master's student at School of Information studying HCI UX.
Hello, I'm Joel. I'm the business lead this year. Last year I had about 5 positions that I switched off from, but now I'm the business lead. I'm a sophomore studying CS.
Hi, I'm Hank. This will be my second year as the AI lead, and I'm a junior studying computer science.
Cool. So now we're going to do a short, hopefully short icebreaker. So Joel, take it away.
Do you guys know how to play rock, paper, scissors? Can I get a silent nod? Nice, okay. I'm assuming that everyone knows how to play rock, paper, scissors. I'm not gonna explain the rules of it. So basically, we're gonna play rock, paper, scissors. We're gonna do 1v1s between people, between pairs. And then, but first you have to introduce yourself, say a fun fact or your name or something small. And then the loser has to stand behind the person that they lost against. And then we keep on going for pairs and stuff. Am I explaining this correctly? Yes, no? Can I get a no, yes? All right, cool. And then in the end, there's only going to be one person, hopefully. And the winner gets $20. Whoa! Nice reaction, guys. Okay, find a pair. If you guys can find a pair, one of us can play or whatever. So remember to introduce yourselves.
Try not to pair up with someone that you came in here with.
Yeah. Okay. Rock, paper, scissors. Okay, we can continue now.
All right, hello everyone. I hope you had fun with that. Hello. Okay, so just for a quick little rundown of what Claus is. Claus is obviously a project team here at UMich. It stands for the Collaborative Lab for Advancing Work in Space. Right now we work on designing and developing augmented reality interfaces for astronauts. So just a quick little rundown. If you don't know what AR is, it's very similar to the Iron Man movies, where there's a heads-up display that adds virtual elements into the real world. And then we are designing that while working on the NASA Suits Challenge that's asking to design augmented reality for upcoming Artemis lunar missions. So just a few quick terms that you might hear a bit. We design for EVAs, which is extravehicular activity. Obviously, they work with the ISS, the International Space Station. I hope you guys all know what the moon is, but we're designing for missions on the lunar surface. And what was I supposed to say about Mars? It's a planet.
Okay, so as McKinley mentioned, NASA is interested in designing an augmented reality interface for astronauts. And so NASA has this project called the Jarvis Project. And in NASA's terms, Jarvis stands for Joint Augmented Reality Visual Informatics System. But alongside the Jarvis Project, NASA also has the NASA Suits Challenge, which is a challenge given to university students to basically create their own AR system. So there are four main parts to the Suits Challenge. First is to design and develop an AR interface, and this is what we spend the majority of the year doing. Then once we're done with that, then we get to present our application at the NASA Johnson Space Center in Texas. So we spend about a week in Texas presenting that. Then alongside both of those, we also do research and outreach. So the reason that we do outreach is to basically inspire future generations to think about like how spacesuit technology can be innovated specifically for AR. And then the reason that we do research is because when NASA was first developing their Jarvis project, they realized that there was very little academic research about augmented reality, specifically in conditions that you might face in like space. So yeah, we want to contribute to that research pool. Okay, so now I'll go over some of the things that our team did last year, starting with this video.
Hey Vega, open menu. Let's take a look at my vitals. Looks like I'm good to go. MCC, Neil and I are looking good to head out to the geosampling sites. Heading to Station Alpha now.
Roger. Your vitals all look positive. You're good to go.
Hey Vega, open map. Okay, let's get directions to Station Alpha. And we want to go to Charlie next. Let's get these directions. Okay, seems like I'll be using about 3% of my oxygen. It's gonna take me around 7 minutes. Hey Vega, start navigation.
Hang on a second. I didn't see this on the map. Let me go check it out.
Gotcha. Just stay within the radius you're supposed to.
Don't worry, I will. This is interesting. Oh wow, this is interesting.
Hey Vega, show directional aids. Alright, mission control, I've arrived at Station Alpha. I'm about to start sampling.
Roger. Everything looks good on our side. Proceed with your mission.
Alright, I found an interesting sample here. Hey Vega. Hide directional aids. Hey Vega. Open notes. Alright, let's just open this one I've already created. Hey Vega, add a sample. Let's take a picture of this. Alright, looks like my pictures are saved. Hey Vega, start transcription. I've just arrived at landmark A about 4 minutes into my EVA. The sample I'm holding is about 2 inches by 2 inches by 1 inch in size. Its color is black-brown, texture a bit grainy, and it's pretty light in weight. I will end the sample here. Hey Neil, I'm done. Where are you? Let's head to the next stop. Neil, do you copy? Neil, do you copy? Mission Control, something's wrong with Neil's suit. I'm heading towards him ASAP.
Roger. Proceed with caution. We'll try to monitor him from our side.
Okay, so yeah, that was a short video that we recorded last year while we were in Texas. But yeah, it basically shows what our overall application is like. Here are some of the features that we made in our application. Most of them were shown in the video. So you're able to see the astronauts' vitals in real time, updating, so the astronauts can keep track of whatever vitals that they need to. They're also able to navigate to specific points of interest, and then once you start navigation, then a trail of breadcrumbs will lead you to your destination. The astronaut is also able to create a waypoint at their current location. We didn't show it in the video, but yeah, basically the astronaut can create a checkpoint to navigate to later. We also have lunar search and rescue. So as you saw at the end, Neil got lost or had some sort of suit malfunction, so we had to navigate to him to rescue him. We also have geological sampling. So if you find an interesting lunar rock, then you can take a geological sample of that. And then we have an AI voice assistant named Vega, which basically registered all of our voice commands and yeah, did whatever we said. But last year, our implementation of Vega was pretty naive. It was just a set of hard-coded commands. This year, we plan to expand that much more. So yeah, after designing and developing our application, we got to go to this NASA Johnson Space Center to present our application. So here are some of the people we presented in front of. This was like a biomedical engineer working at NASA, and then this was the chief of EVA operations at NASA. So we got to show them our design and have them test it out at the NASA Rock Yard. We also got to see the designs of other teams, and a lot of teams had very unique solutions, so that was very interesting to see how they implemented those. We also might or might not have beef with Carnegie Mellon, so yeah. Yeah, alongside developing our application and presenting it, we also got to just tour around NASA. So we got to see a lot of like cool labs at the NASA facilities, and then we also got to see some labs that aren't really accessible to the public as well. And then we also like saw around Houston. So yeah. So for this year, our main goal is expanding. So there are a lot of things, new features that we want to implement for this year. And in order to do so, we plan to start design and development from the ground up. The reason that we're doing so is because we have a lot of new members who will be joining this year, and we want them to have the chance to make a lot of the important decisions for design and implementation at the very beginning stages of our application. So yeah, we'll be starting design and development from the ground up. Here are some of the features that we want to add. So we want to expand our AI voice assistant to actually register voice commands based on intent rather than just hard-coded commands. We also want to expand our web server, or we want to create a web server that will serve as mission control center. So if you're familiar with EVAs, usually when an astronaut leaves their spacesuit or anything like that, not spacesuit, spacecraft, then they have to be monitored by someone on the ground constantly. So that person is at Mission Control Center constantly monitoring the astronauts' vitals. We want to simulate this Mission Control Center specifically for AR. So what information is important to send to the Mission Control Center? And is there anything unique that we can send with an AR headset? And then with the web server, we're also able to support cool other features like multiplayer functionality. So what if we had multiple people with multiple headsets in one AR scene, navigating to different locations? They're able to monitor each other's vitals, keep track of each other's vitals, and keep track of each other's location. So yeah, we want to implement multiplayer functionality to well, first of all, because it'll be fun, but also because we want to expand, like increase the realism of our application. Yeah, so there are many more different features that we want to add as well, but those are just a few of them. We also have several sub-teams that we want to add. So in order to create our Mission Control Center, we'll need to create a web team. So that's new for this year. We also have a hardware team that I'll talk about later and a research team that we'll talk about later. In that case, then I'll go over our timeline. So right now we're focused heavily on recruiting, and then from September 21st, which will be our first official meeting, until October like mid-October, will be focused heavily on onboarding new members. So depending on which sub-team you are in, that onboarding process may take a different amount of weeks, but basically we'll be focused on training new members to get experience with all the tools that we'll be using in order to develop our application, and then also to see some of our design choices from last year and decide what we want to change and what we want to keep. And then after onboarding, we'll be working on developing from October all the way until May, so pretty much the entire year. And then finally, once we're done with that, around May after school ends, then we'll present at NASA. Okay, so if you're interested in joining, we have many different sub-teams. So these are all the sub-teams that we have. Although they're all listed separately, they actually interact with each other very often. So for example, if you're on the AR team, you'll be interacting with a lot of other teams during the process. So they're not like completely separate. Okay, so McKinley will start by explaining the UIUX team.
Yeah, so with the UIUX team, we obviously have to design all of the AR experience and the functions that we're going to need. We start out with a lot of research. If you don't know anything about like EVAs, it can be pretty complicated. So last year we did some research interviews with former astronauts just to get to know the experience more and also like kind of current pain points of that process. And that way we can figure out like how to design properly. And then we also have to work with us with all the sub-teams to make sure that everything is implemented the way we like it, and then it's like getting our goals done. And then for workload, I would say outside of our weekly meetings, it's going to about 3 to 5 hours. And then as far as you can join, prior experience in UX research and UX design is helpful, but it's definitely not necessary really when you're looking for people who are interested in UX design and UX research.
Okay, next is the AR team. So the AR team will be the people who are actually developing all of the AR interfaces and implementing them into our Unity scene. So we use Unity, which uses C+ or C# if you're familiar with that. But if you're not, that's completely fine. We'll teach you everything you need to know. And then after we've developed our application in Unity, then we test our implementation on the HoloLens 2. So you'll get to try on the HoloLens 2 and see exactly what works and what breaks. We work closely with all the other sub-teams because pretty much everything that another sub-team is doing will eventually be integrated into our final AR application. Typically, if you're working in the AR team, we ask that you spend at least 4 hours per week working on it. But of course, if you have like 10 finals on 1 week, then as for who can join, anyone can join. We don't require any previous experience. Actually, when I joined last year, I didn't have any previous experience. So yeah, we're open to anyone as long as you're motivated to learn. We have both front end and full stack roles. So what that means in terms of AR is front end role will be like people who are implementing all of the UIUX designs into AR, making sure that everything looks nice, and then testing the feel of all of those screens to make sure that they work the way that we've designed them to work. And then a full stack role will be responsible for implementing all of the logic that goes into our application. So something as simple as what happens when you press this button to some more complicated things like networking with the web team and integrating other parts of like the AI team.
So for the Vega team, we implement the chatbot that did not go so hot last year. So just a little background for last year. We were building the AI assistant chatbot, and then we ended up running out of time for the May presentation. So then we had to switch to hard code. We would not be doing that this year. So basically what we do is we build a contextual AI assistant and chatbot, which works through voice with Rasa's open source machine learning framework. And then so that's mostly Python. And then we're going to work closely with the AR and UIUX teams to implement the voice commands. AR team will be like we'll connect our voice commands with the AR, and then through UIUX we'll be figuring out like which situations we would need the voice command in. And then same with the other teams, typically 4 hours outside of meeting times per week. And then who can join? No experience necessary. Ignore the experience with coding is helpful. Yeah, anybody can join because well, we're starting from scratch, so be pretty simple. Dang, talked a lot.
Okay, I'll also be talking about the web team. So this is a new team for this year. They'll be developing a website that will serve as the Mission Control Center. So I already explained some of that before, but basically the Mission Control Center will be responsible for receiving and sending important information to our AR headset. And then also displaying that information to whoever's looking at the Mission Control Center. So they'll work closely with the AR team and UIUX team. For the AR team, they'll be figuring out exactly what information to send to our HoloLens. And then for the UIUX team, they'll be actually designing or implementing UIUX designs for our Mission Control Center. Typically, if you're on the web team, we ask that you'll spend around 4 hours per week as well. As for who can join, since it is a new team, having some prior experience in web development would be helpful, but even if you don't have experience, that's completely fine. Because yeah, we're just interested in motivated people, so yeah. Okay, and then the hardware team. So this description is kind of vague, but the hardware team will integrate hardware components and sensors into our solution to increase realism and extend capabilities. So what that means is basically the hardware team might be doing various projects, smaller projects to eventually integrate into our AR solution that will help make our AR solution better. So I've included like an image to help me illustrate one of the tasks that we're thinking for the hardware team. So as you can see, this astronaut with its helmet, the helmet is attached to the body. So whenever the astronaut moves their head, the helmet itself won't move. What that means is that this works pretty differently from how an AR headset currently works, where if you have a HoloLens, it moves relative to your head location rather than your body location. This is important because our goal is to design an AR interface that will be similar to what an astronaut would actually face on a lunar mission. So if the way that our AR headsets work is different from how an astronaut would actually interact with AR, then that's a pretty big design problem. So our goal for the hardware team is to have a sensor attached to the user's body, which will send important positional information to our AR headset so that we're able to orient our AR screens and everything based on the body's position rather than the head's position. So yeah, that'll help with multiple things. First of all, increase the realism of our application, but then it'll also help us with one of the major flaws of AR technology currently, which is a very limited field of vision. So if you've ever tried on a HoloLens, you have like pretty much no peripheral vision. And that really limits our design choices that we can make. However, if we're able to integrate this hardware solution, then we're going to be able to open up users' peripheral vision and allow a lot more information to be shown at one time. So yeah, the hardware team will work closely with the AR team and research team. We ask that if you join, then you spend at least 3 hours per week. And as for who can join, just like the web team, it's a new team, so having some prior experience would be helpful, but it's not necessary.
Hello. My bad. Okay, sorry. So I am the business. Wait, I already said. This is the business team. So basically, we do everything that's non-technical. So that comes to like securing a room for the year. Like we got GDPL 2147 for like the rest of the year, kind of. But then at the last minute we switched years. So, anyways, but our most important thing is like finding funds, which we need right now. I'll be honest. But yeah, and then we also do outreach. We have Instagram and then Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, I guess. We haven't used it. But yeah, we work closely with like other UX orgs, and then we're also trying to expand to like getting like sponsorship from like companies. But yeah, this will be like a lower workload than other teams. So like 1 to 2 hours probably per week. Who can join? I'm a CS major. I don't know anything about business, but I'm the business lead. So anyone can join. If you're like the kid of like Jeff Bezos or something, you're like definitely in, because we need Amazon money. But yeah, if you're motivated and like can send emails, then you can join. Oh yeah.
Okay, so we also have the research team this year. This is also another new sub team. So what this is a team to conduct research about like AR technology, AR design, space exploration in general, or any other topics. You'd work closely with UIUX, AR hardware teams. The point of this sub team is kind of to help inform our design and our development in the future and this year. You'd be looking at around 3 hours per week outside of our weekly meeting times. And then since this is a new team, prior experience is definitely necessary. Just an interest in getting some hands-on experience with doing research.
Okay, cool. So now let's talk about the application process for clubs. So there will be like 2 rounds, I guess. First is to apply through a Google form, and then the second is to do a low-key interview. So for the application, here's the link to the application. Basically, we'll just ask you some questions about yourself, ask you which sub-team you want to join, and then there's like a short answer question about why you want to join clause. We'll accept these applications until September 12th. But if you can, please apply earlier so that we can schedule interviews before then. Also, we just recently updated this application process. So if you applied before then you don't have to reapply. Okay, and then for the interview, we'll be doing interviews from September 10th until the 18th. Hopefully they'll be super chill. Our main goal is to like basically just get to know you and then answer any questions that you have about clause. So yeah, assuming that you pass like the first round interview or the first application, then we'll send you an interview link to schedule an interview with us. And then yeah. And then here's a side note. So we will have like an informal meeting next week, probably at GGBL, but maybe here, 7 to 9 p.m. on Wednesdays, just like now. Anyone can come, whether or not you actually want to apply to clause or whether or not you're like interested in joining. But during this meeting, you can just ask any questions that you have about clause, AR, or space. You can learn more about the sub-teams and what we did last year, some like the challenges that we faced. And then also I'll be giving a demo of the HoloLens and hopefully some of you will be able to try it on. Okay, and then if you want to join our Slack, here's the QR code for that. We'll just be sending out some like updates about anything if anything changes. So yeah. Also, we'll answer any questions that you have on Slack. Okay. Okay, yeah, thanks for coming to the mass meeting. Does anyone have any questions?